Good morning, my lovelies. Welcome to the Coffee Run Live, episode number 489 for your viewing and listening pleasure. Really awesome to be with you today. I like to think of Tuesdays as the choosing of the day that we wish to have. So just take that as the very first thing. What I really wanted to talk with you about today was the real reason. Good morning, Jojo, who is still stranded in, could be a shittier place of the world, I guess, still stranded in Ballina, waiting to come home, sending all of the hurry up and get that plane on the freaking tarmac and revved up so that you can get home and get all the things sorted that you want to get sorted. So what I wanted to talk to you about today was the real reason that most people don't try, like really try. So I've had these ideas, and Joe and I speak usually on a very daily basis. Hey Jen, good morning. And one of the things that we'll go back and forth with is we'll talk a lot about the things that I talk a lot, as you know, that will come as a surprise to all of you. I talk a lot, and I talk a lot about the things that I want to do, create, and most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time, I'm sure that you guys see this as well. Like I'm an implementer. Most of the time I'll have these ideas. I'm like, right, I'm going to go and make this happen. But some of the things that will impact that are my mindset, my mood, my procrastination. But the biggest thing that stops me from really kind of throwing stuff into the mix, and a big thing, and this is something that is quite uncomfortable actually, is I think we all have this fear of failure, right? At some level. And some things that I've been thinking about, I think when you're brand new to business, and you're brand new to marketing, and you're brand new to selling, and you're brand new to trying something different, it can be a lot easier to just sort of like try some shit and knowing that, you know, if some of it won't work, right? Because that's what happens. Like we fail fast, we learn, we try again, we learn some more, we fail, we get better, and it's this constant upward trajectory. Well, hopefully this constant upward trajectory of transformation, of change, of getting better and refining and doing what we're doing. But one of the things that I think happens once you've got a bit of skin in the game, and most of the people that I talk to, most people that I work with, they've been doing what they've been doing for a while. Right? Now, this doesn't mean that you have to be making super huge amounts of money. Some of you are, some of you have been. It also doesn't mean that you're not making anything, but most of the people that I work with, they've been in it for a while. And there is there's like a double-edged sword with this, right? And I speak for myself as well as the clients that I've worked with. Some of the things that kind of come up are like, well, you know what, I know that I can go and try and do this, but what if this thing happens again? You know, and I think what happens is it's like if you have your heart broken. So I remember, let me give you an example. So when I was 16, I started going out with my then high school boyfriend, and we were like, I was so in love, so besotted, and just really, like I was just in, right? Just in it, that real kind of high school kid love type love. And what happened, like we broke up because obviously like I'm not with him anymore, so we broke up. And one of the things that I think happens when you break up with someone, or that I know that can happen when you break up with someone, is that when you then go and start thinking about dating someone else, we can have this we go in with baggage, right? We've got these things that we can be worried about, or, you know, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if they break up with me? You know, this new person. And we can go into these new and different relationships with a different set of fears, a different set of expectations, because we kind of learn, again, speak for myself, learn how to kind of buffer myself in different ways to self-protect, right? Which is really normal, but it's not always a good thing, like depending on what's happened. So for me, I think that this is the same and can be true for business as well, where when you're trying something and you just kind of like, when you don't know, you don't know. If you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know what questions to ask, then that's really where you can kind of, hi Julie, you can kind of go all in and just be like, well, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, so I'm just going to try some shit, and some things will work and some things won't, but you know what, I'll be okay. I'll learn a bunch along the way and I'll be okay. And you always are okay, like we're always okay. But the thing that happens is that when we pick ourselves back up again and we have these new ideas, quite often what will happen is we will get stuck because we're trying to self-protect from perhaps like future failures, future rejection. I think about the different programs and stuff that I've put out over time and that other people have put out over time. And it's like, all right, I really, 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 really want this to work because it kind of worked in the past. And now I really want it to work. But then, what if it doesn't? And what if they don't respond? And what if I don't make any sales? And, it kind of creates this different, it creates a different almost sense of motivation, or kind of like a different beast. So most people, if they've tried something, and I see this happen all the time, even with Facebook ads, with funnels, with learning different skills, it's kind of like I want to go and try that, but not at that cost. And so what happens is we associate something that changed that level of success with a perceived future loss, or a potential future loss. Let me know if you're with me. Joe, protecting myself from future rejection. Yeah, right? And I think the thing that happens, like, and again, I know this to be true for myself, where I'm like, yeah, that's really great. I know that I did that then. But, for instance, I had a $1 million a year business and I pretty much burned it to the ground. And I had somewhere rolling around in my head that, and my unconscious, like deep in the dark depths of, my psyche, that if I got my business back to that financial figure, so back to $1 million a year, I was kind of worried that might flush some more mean girls out of the woodwork. I've spoken a lot about that in the past. I had been worried that maybe I wouldn't be happy when I made all that money, or I was going to end up being so busy that I would end up going back to working, 12, 13-hour days. I'm like, fuck that shit. I don't want to do that. Or, what if I get it all and then I go and blow it up all again, and then it all goes and I don't know if I've got the fucking energy, quite frankly, to rebuild, right? This is all the stuff that would go on in my head around getting back up on the horse and trying again. And so instead what we do, thank you, Joe, for letting me know that this is resonating. And I think the thing is that this is what a lot of us go through in various different depths. And I know that the way to getting out of it is not by sitting here navel gazing, pondering, stressing, procrastinating, shooting yourself all over the place, trying or pretending that you're trying. So, and I just want to clarify that, because I know that we all try, right? We all think that we're giving it our all, but I know this, that if you were really, really, really wanting what you said that you were wanting, and if you were like, all right, I'm not just going to try this time, I'm just going to do, and I'm going to go all in, and I'm going to do this thing, hey Carmen, and I'm just going to do everything that I possibly can, and I'm really going to just give it my all, you will hit another level. This morning when I was working out, so I've committed to myself I'm getting up at 5 a.m. at the moment, and I'm going through a slight change, just a little tiny slight adjustment to my morning routine. And so I'm up a bit earlier, which I'm really loving, actually. I never thought that I would say that. And I'm working out and I'm like, man, I reckon I could put another 10 kilos on this thing. I reckon I could do another band. I reckon I could add weights and the band. And so I started feeling really strong, where just yesterday, I'm like, oh my God, like there's just, I don't know how I could possibly, go any heavier. Oh, Joe, safe travels. Mwah. I'm so glad that your engineers have been able to fix your plane. I will talk to you when you land. So the thing that happens is that like one day you might be like, all right, I'm going to try really hard. I'm going to do the thing. But then actually you've got so much more capacity within the time frame and the boundaries and the constraints that you have. You have so much more capacity than you give yourself credit for. And this is a big thing that most of us forget, me included in the past, and sometimes even like this morning. We've got so much more capacity. We've got so much more to give. And really the thing that we've just got to come back to is that, you know what? The biggest regret that people have from what I've read when they're dying has been to not go all in. Whether it's relationships, to love more fiercely, to just try a bunch of shit, to fail, to be okay with all of that. And I think that's got to be one of the biggest motivators for me. Is like, I don't want to get to another 5 years, I don't even want to get 6 months down the track and go, man, looking back now, I had that idea 6 months ago, why the hell did I not just go back all in? Why didn't I make that decision just to try even more, push a little bit harder, like just give it that little bit more of an effort and let go of all of that old shit, because that's exactly what it is. All that old shit is just old bullshit. Yes, it's trying to protect you, but we've got to do this. Look at it like it's a little 2-year-old, gorgeous little 2-year-old, chucking the biggest tantrum of its life, right? And my daughter, my second daughter, she used to do the most amazing tantrums you've ever seen in your whole life. You guys have seen that Reach ad, right? It's a toothpaste or a toothbrush commercial. I haven't watched commercial television for years. This is going back quite a number of years ago. And this the Reach ads were all like white screen, and they were hand drawn with a Sharpie, like cartoon things, and then animated. And this one particular one is like when he brushed his teeth, his whole head opened up. So you had like two like bottom teeth here, top teeth here, and he's like squishing around all the toothbrush. We used to joke and say that and laugh that my second child, when she threw a tantrum, her head would go like this, and then all of the noise would erupt. It's totally flipped to a bed, you guys. Totally flipped to a bed. It was mortifying when it would happen in stores, but it's just like, and this tiny little person, and she was such a fine little kid. So imagine this fine little child, like she's my child, so really finely built, flip top head with like the voice of the Jess commented as me. That's really funny. Like this flip top head that would happen, and then this voice that was like 25 times the size of her would come bellowing out of her lungs, and it was just extraordinary. And we would just walk away, because if you pay attention to that, in my view of the world, pay attention to that. And it was because we wouldn't let her, climb on something probably, or, open up a packet of lollies while we were in the store, or whatever it happened to be. There was something that she wasn't allowed to do, and just flip top head. And so we would walk away. And this is the thing that we need to do. I mean, yeah, you need to resolve the trauma if there's trauma, and yes, you need to resolve the beliefs. But in the moment, if you don't have time to sit down and unpack all of that stuff, which is necessary, and it's important work, you need to do that. But if you don't have the time to do that, just kind of be a little bit like, pat on the head, and then off you go. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. These things that are in us, if you think about our primitive brain, our limbic brain, illicit brain, what happens is it gets worried for us, right? And hey, Linda, and it's sitting there trying to protect you from the dangers. But the thing is this, going and doing a Facebook Live, you are not going to die. You are not going to get eaten by a bear. You're not even going to get attacked by a caveman, by a rival tribe. You're not going to die. You're not going to suffer a huge amount of blood loss and crazy amounts of wounds. If you go and try and launch a program and it doesn't work, then yeah, you know what, you might feel like a bit of a dickhead, but at the end of the day, it's not going to matter, right? It doesn't really matter. It's just the meaning that we attach to that makes the difference. So, you know, one of the things that I'm doing this weekend is I've got Visible Live happening on Friday, Saturday. So excited about that. If you are not in it, and you should be in it, well, if you're not in it, you actually should be in it. That's just the fact of the matter. But if you're not in it and you should be in it, I will get the link for you just down in here in about 3 seconds flat. Blah, 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 blah. Come on. There we go. There is the link. And, you know, I got these, you know, I've got goals of what it is, of how many people I would love in that program, right? And I'm not even close to having the number of people in that event that I really want, that I think should be in there. And, you know, I could make that mean whatever it is that I want. I could make that mean that I'm a shit marketer, that, you know, which is kind of my business. But, you know, I could make it mean that I'm a shit marketer, that I'm awful at communicating with people, that the stupid funnel doesn't work, that I don't really know my audience, that maybe I should just not do this. Maybe I should just, you know, quit it. Maybe this is not the thing that I should be doing. I could make it mean any of that. Or I could make it mean, wow, shit, you know what? I've got 10 freaking amazing humans that I'm going to be able to give my all to, that I'm going to be able to really help, inspire, motivate, educate, give them a framework that is going to support them for the rest of their life, actually, because that's what will happen. You know, I could choose to focus on that perceived failure, or I can choose to focus on the perceived success and the wins that have come through that. But the thing that we mostly do is that we catastrophize, right? We go to that worst case scenario and we're really fucking awesome at beating ourselves up and letting that tantruming 2-year-old with the flip top head override the things that we know to be true. And these are the things that we know to be true. Your people need you. You can deliver really awesome curriculum, motivation, inspiration, content to your audience, and they need it, right? The other thing that we know is that in a world that we're living in today, where there is a whole bunch of fear mongering, where there is a bunch of people who are out there not doing the right things, that you can be that force for good. You can be the voice of truth. The thing that we need is we really need people to step up and do this for other people. We need you. We need your inspiration. You know, I remember sitting in a workshop a couple of years ago next to a woman who I now classify as a friend of mine. And I remember her saying that she likes to see herself, or her word was Lighthouse. And I think that's really beautiful. I think for all of us, for all of you, if you imagine that everybody out there, like all the people that you really want to help, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know which way to go. They don't know which way to turn. They don't know who to listen to. They need you to be the lighthouse for them, guiding them back into shore and letting them know that it's okay. Letting them know that whatever is going on in their world, whether they're stuck, confused, overwhelmed, where they're not sure what to do, who to turn to, who to listen to, they don't know what next steps to take. Maybe they're feeling anxious, maybe they're feeling depressed, maybe they're feeling just like, I don't know what I don't know, and I don't know what questions to ask, and therefore, you know, they just end up in this murky pit of shitness. You know, if your people are sitting there like that, the worst possible thing that you can do is listen to your bullshit fear that you're not good enough, or that you're not worthy enough, or that you don't know enough. Because you are letting them down. You're letting them bob around in that ocean on their own, like aimless, without any way of coming in. So like you can be that lighthouse for them. You can be that person that reminds them that, hey, you know what? I've been there and I know it's really shit, but if you just follow this passage, then you're going to be okay. You're going to be good. And the reason that most of us don't try so much is because we get caught up in our own fucking ego, we get caught up in our own mindset, and we get caught up in ourselves. When I know something else to be absolutely true of every single one of you here listening right now, every single one of you listening to the replay, every single one of you listening to the audio, every single one of you is here on this earth to make an impact. I know that. You all want to inspire and motivate and help people. That's why you're here, right? Because that's also my driver. And you know, I'm pretty close to freaking anything to help you guys get what it is that you want. And I know that you would do the same thing for your people. So instead of getting caught up in the, well, I don't know how, I don't know what, I don't know this, I don't know that, and then really living in that not good potential future, which is what we do, we've got to flip it and come back to the good potential future, right? So really focusing on, well, what's the best outcome here? What could possibly happen? How many lives can I change? How many people can I help? How many things could I do? How can I get out of my own damn way? And then you've got to follow through. But most people don't try because they live in that failure track. Or that perceived failure track, or the what if I failed track, which is something that's become ingrained in all of us since we were kids, by the way. You know, what if you fail? Well, if you fail, you won't make it into high school. And then if you fail, you won't make it to university. And if you don't try hard enough, you're not going to be good enough. If you don't try hard enough, you're not going to get the scores to be able to get into college or uni. And then if you don't do that, then you're not going to be able to get into an honors program. Or if you don't do that, then you're not going to get a job, right? We are conditioned by fear. So like since we were kids around, well, if you don't do this, then you're not going to get what you want. And so a lot of us will go, well, fuck that. I don't want it anyway, really, when really you do. So jumble it up, change it from being this focus on, well, what if I fail? What if this doesn't happen? Or trying to protect yourself from future rejection or future perceived failure, and instead flip it the other way. Just be like, well, you know what? I'm going to learn a lot from this. I've got to try. I've got to get myself out there. I've got to make this happen, because there is an ocean. There are limitless amounts of people out there waiting to hear your voice of reason, your way of explaining things, your way of doing things. But you've got to get yourself out there. You've got to be seen. You've got to be visible. You've got to cut through the noise and do it in a way that lights you up, that feels really good for you. Because when you find that, they will be like, oh, finally they're here, when they hear you and your voice. That is what I wanted to ramble on and rant to you about today. Not rambling, ranting and getting excited and passionate about the stuff, because I'm passionate about you getting out there. So if you have any questions about this or anything else, make sure you let me know. But otherwise, you need to get out there, go help some people, have a whole ton of fun doing it. And remember that the world is ready for your brand of awesome. I hope to see you Friday, Saturday. The link is in the comments there. If you're listening on audio, it is www.nicolamoras.com.au/rockstar. I can't wait to do it. So on that note, my friends, have a really fabulous, awesome, and amazing day, and I will see you all tomorrow.